Hi, this is Pat Garrity with the Trilliant Real Estate Group, and I'd like to welcome you to another Central Alberta Monthly Market Minute. The Central Alberta Monthly Market Minute is where we break down all the real estate statistics, the sales data from the previous month compared to what happened a year ago, and try and make some sense of it. Okay? Well, I'll tell you what, these last 60 days have been a tale of feast and famine in some aspects. But we want to make sure that you guys know the facts, and that if you're a seller or a buyer or even just a homeowner, you know exactly what you're dealing with here in the markets of Central Alberta. Well, without further ado, let's move on. Let's start out with Red Deer, okay? Red Deer is the mothership of all real estate statistics here in Central Alberta. There's the most number of homes, there's the most number of sales, there's the most number of everything. So let's take a look at Red Deer. And when we talk about statistics this month, let's talk about inventory. Days on market. What does that break down to? Supply and demand. Supply and demand is simply this. The higher the demand, the lower the supply, the higher the price. Okay? And if it's the opposite of that, the lower the price. Let's talk about the Sylvan Lake Golf shirt that I'm wearing right now and pay tribute to them because they've had an incredible regular season and they're about to head off into the playoffs this year, and we're wishing them all the best. But if I wanted to buy another golf shirt and there was only one in their apparel store, I probably wouldn't go buy one. I'd be like, nah, there's only one to choose from, not that interested. However, if they had 6 or 7 or 8 on the shelves, multiple sizes, multiple colors, which they do, of course, that would lead more people to want to go to this store to purchase. Well, the real estate market's the same way. If you're looking at buying a home and there's nothing for sale, nothing is more frustrating, nothing is more deflating than that particular scenario. Okay, so that's what we want to make sure is not happening here. But guess what? Our inventory levels are good, and I'm going to show you why. There again, take a look at Red Deer. In the detached category, they have 356 homes. Last year, there was 444. Overall, there's 571 listed. Last year, there was 715. That's down 20%. Okay? Everyone's going, the inventory's climbing, the inventory's climbing. It's slowly rising, but guess what? That's good. We're still at 3 months inventory. That's a very balanced market. Yes, the interest rates have gone up, and those are things that we have to watch. But guess what? There's more than one thing that comes into play. All right? So if you take a look at the days on market, the months of inventory, we're at 3.0 months. Last year, we had 4.6. Now, March, it was crazy. There was under a month. Don't like that. We understand that. But 3 months is nice and balanced, all the way up to, say, 4, 5.5 months of inventory. We could consider that a balanced market. Okay? So Red Deer's sitting pretty good. We'll talk about lessons to seller, lessons to buyer at the end of the 4 markets that we talk about. Let's talk about Sylvan Lake next. Okay, Sylvan Lake is another market. It's not down as much from a year ago as, say, what Red Deer is, but it is still almost down 6.5%. Last year, there was 152 listings. This year, there is 142. In the sales category, in July, there was 30 sales. Last year, there was 36. So a little bit more. Last year's inventory was at 89. This year, it's at 88. So softening a little bit out in Sylvan Lake, but at the same time, super competitive. Those that want to go look at homes are going to have more than one home to look at. And that's good for both the buyer and the seller. Okay? Median prices are kind of very similar. The median price is $340 this year. Last year was $350. That could fluctuate in a smaller market like Sylvan Lake by $10,000 on a month-by-month basis. So, not that we don't look at that, but we would look at that one throughout the whole year. Okay, let's take a look at Lacombe. Inventory in Lacombe. Okay, Lacombe kind of beats to its own drum, and that's a good thing. It kind of has its own market. If you look at the inventory right now, it's got 50 in the detached category. Last year it had 80, so it's down 30 in just the detached category. It's down to 78 from 113 overall. So that's down almost 31% from where it was a year ago. Okay, that's crazy. Number of sales is 22 for the month of July. Last year was in 23. So pretty similar sales, and at the same time, you have to make sure that your inventories don't climb too high, don't climb too low. So Lacombe is just kind of cruising along, all right? And then if you take a look at Black Falls right now, inventory is in the detached category is at 54. Last year was at 74. Overall, it was 75 last year and 104 overall last year. Sorry, 104 overall last year, and this year's at 75. So it's down 28% in the inventory from where it was a year ago. If we go back to 2021 was just kind of a level season, or a level seller's market, level buyer's market, just kind of cruised along. Things didn't go crazy until January, February, March, and April of this year. It peaked in early May. And of course, it had to. It could not sustain those sales levels and those increases in prices. Okay, what's the moral of the story for sellers in all three of those markets? Price it right. Know your inventory. Let's take a look at a couple of the stats that we have. We're going to take a look at months of inventory trend. And if you take a look at these months of inventory trend, look at how it's just kind of stabilized, right? It's just kind of stabilized, and that's what we want. That's what we want to see. All right, we want to see that sitting there under 4. If that number can hold throughout the rest of the year, everyone's going to do very well. Okay, and the buyers are going to do well because they're going to have inventory to look at. They're not going to feel like they're pressured to make an offer today. If you don't buy this house now, there's going to be 4 other offers and it's going to go over list price. No one benefits from that except for the sellers in a short-term situation. Number of sales trend. May 2022, we know that our elevated market peaked at that time. We know that. Okay, we have statistical data to back it up, and this is another graph that shows that. Okay, so we're tapering off, and we know that the number of sales slowly come down, and then next year, guess what? They're going to pick right back up again. Okay, so let's go back to the lessons for the buyers and sellers. Sellers, we already told you, know your inventory. If you're in an inventory bracket where there's nothing there, you might get a little more aggressive. You might not. Be careful. Interest rates are rising. So as those inventory rates do rise, it takes away buying power from the buyers in the marketplace. So know your market. Number 2, if your inventory is heavy, make sure you're priced to sell. And then if you can't sell, maybe this isn't the time for you. Make sure you know your where, your when, and your why that you're selling. If you're buying, know the inventory market. If the inventory is low, you're going to have to make a decision quickly. Okay, do your homework with your real sales professional and make sure that everything nothing is left for question. You know what the inventory levels are. You know all these statistics, so you know what's happening. If the inventory levels are, let's say if they're high, that's good. You're going to have 6, 7, 8 houses to look at. You're going to sit back and you're going to just go home over a glass of wine and just make a decision. That's the way it should be. That's the way we want it. Nice balanced market. Don't be afraid of change, everybody. We're going to be okay. All right? We're going to be okay. This has been Pat Garrity for another Trilliant Real Estate Group's Central Alberta Monthly Market Minute. We hope you have an incredible week. I hope you had a great July, and we're looking forward to just an amazing August. Make sure you reach out to us on all our socials. You can email us or call us at any time, and we'd be happy to help you. Okay? Remember, we are fiercely local here at the Trilliant Real Estate Group. Have a great day.